Hey there, demons. It's me, ya girl. So I got tagged for a pretty unique tag. Have you heard of a fellow called Henry VIII? So this is the ultimate 6 book tag, mostly about the 6 wives of Henry VIII, who was just a crazy ruler back in the day. I remember, I'm actually pretty glad I got tagged for this tag because I remember watching a documentary about Henry VIII on Netflix a long time ago, and it was just so fascinating about this crazy man, so paranoid he was killing his wives, and I think only one survived. I remember my favorite fact that I remember about Henry VIII was that he ate a lot. But back in the day, he was super spry and athletic, so he would have these 5,000-6,000 calorie meals a day, but he was just so athletic that he was keeping a good shape. But then he got a leg injury, so he stopped working out. He just kept eating, and then 5,000 calories a day. Must have been some good food back in the day. Some meat pies, some sausages, some maybe you stuffed some cheese in there. But guys, let me pull up these prompts real quick and we can get into this tag. I was tagged by Berna's Bookish Adventures, the Turkish booktuber who actually dressed up as Catherine Parr, the survivor of Henry VIII, for her own version of this tag, so go check her out. She's Turkish. Watch it be embarrassing when it's no, Casey, you misremembered, she's Swedish. Yeah, that would be embarrassing, but I'm 90% sure she's Turkish. First question, what is your favorite plot twist? Guys, have you heard of a little tale called Eldest? The burning plains, the fight, take the helmet off. The first time I read it, I had to poke the book down oh my gosh, no! This is gonna ruin his life. But also, that's a good one. You can't top this one, but also the one behind closed doors, when we get to know the villain's real motivations and what he plans to do to these 2 women, my gut twisted and I loved it so much. Second prompt, bet you want to know how I got this far. A book you struggled to get through but you made it to the end. I'll do 2 more again but better, because sheer hatred fueled me to read that book, to finish it, because I literally wanted to DNF it at page 16. That's who wants to DNF a book at page 16? It has to be dead awful for that to happen. The earliest I've ever wanted to DNF another book is page 40, but the dialogue in that book was just so bad. These 20-year-olds who are talking 15-year-olds, and then we have a time jump to where our main character is 26, I think, and she's still talking like she's 15. But also, man, Lord of the Rings. That, I read it just because it's Lord of the Rings, and you gotta respect it, and this inspired so many other amazing, awesome, beautiful books. This is such a good book. Did I mention there's 5 plot twists in this book? But Lord of the Rings, I have begun to notice that these books that were written a long time ago, they were specifically geared to be big. Because reading was for leisure, and all these rich people, they had the time just to sit back and read a book, because they didn't have to compete with TV, YouTube, stuff like that. The main mode of entertainment was reading, so you had to make a big book to make them happy. And these old books, they are more about the plot and what's happening rather than the characters, and as a character reader, I was not really thrilled with Lord of the Rings because it was just a bunch of walking, going to this town, going to this town. I was only happy when people were talking, making relationships, even though, I didn't think the relationships were that great. Legolas and Gimli, just became best friends, all of a sudden. Lily says they went on a walk and became fast friends. I'm what did y'all talk about? But I did like the part where, Frodo and friends had to, liberate the Shire. That was a pretty good, end to the book, and I liked it. Number 3, favorite feminist novel / fictional feminist. Ooh, that's a bad question to ask me. I've only read, 2 explicitly feminist books, that's what they were exclusively advertised for. Priory the Orange Tree and Circe, and I didn't like either one of those. So I actually don't have a favorite feminist book or character. Would it be bad to say that because these women are trying to subvert the trope of damsel, or trying too hard to be tough, and they're just coming off as arrogant and unlikable? Number 4, favorite last book in a series. I have a good one. That would be A Conjuring of Light? Darker Shade of Magic, Gathering Shadows. What's the third one? Okay, just put it right here, editor Casey. I'm gonna guess it's Conjuring of Light. If I'm wrong, crucify me. But I loved this book. I was like, can we just let Osavan win? He was my favorite, actually tied favorite villain of 2019. He had such a good plan. He was just lonely. Okay, he was trapped in a evil, dark dimension, just like overflowing with too much chaotic magic. He just wanted some buddies. He just wanted like a host to chill with. And then just people were picking on him, and he was just a lonely little boy who became like a dark, evil deity. I loved his villain plan. I was like, yes, do it. Do it. For this. Ruin these characters' lives. Although I do remember that in this last third book that I probably don't know the name of, there would just be like these normal scenes, like, oh, we're just reading a normal book. Then like all of a sudden there'd just be like a cut scene of some past event, and it would just like interrupt the flow of the story, and then we'd like hop back into the regular timeline. I'm like, what just happened? The first one that happened was totally unnecessary. The other ones that happened were like kind of interesting because they were about one of my favorite characters in the series, Holland, but they did like interrupt a lot. But I do like the entire series. It's very good. I actually shed like one little tiny tear at the end. Number 5, a character you wish had ended up with someone else. Oh, okay. This is pretty hard because I usually like the person I usually like the character that our main character does like fall in love with. Wait, nope. I have it. Grisha Trilogy. Okay. Alina? No, not her and Mal. Think that's his name? Mal? I am a Alina Darkling shipper all the way. Team Darklina. Oh, where's the fanfic? I need to go find some fanfic about this. Let me write that down. Team Darklina fanfic. Throughout the series, I'm like, if you would just go on one date with them, you would probably solve all of his inner turmoil. Come on, he's a gentleman, he's sweet, he's cute, he's mysterious, he's aloof. I'm like, my shady little heart loved that guy. He was the best part of the Grisha Trilogy, and the Darkling just needed a hug. Mal, I had nothing against Mal, but he was like overshadowed by Nikolai, who was overshadowed by the Darkling, so I'm sorry, Mal, you're kind of overlooked. Last prompt. A book/series that's finished that you just can't with. As in, you haven't finished it yet because you don't want it to be over, or it's an ending you didn't like. The Grisha Trilogy, I usually don't repeat books for prompts like this, but I really hated how it ended. Besides the Darkling and Alina not happening, there was just some magical event that happened that I'm like, how? Why? Oh, and of course it solves all our problems. Like, wasn't so thrilled about that. Ooh, and also Illuminae. The Illuminae files. I like book 1, I like book 2, but book 3 just dropped it entirely. Especially the MacGuffin with the parachute. Okay, the one that, what's his name, Nick, constantly had strapped on his back, and they're like, oh, Nick, why do you have a parachute strapped on your back? He's like, well, you never know when you'll need one. He has this thing on the entire book. So, what saves his life? The parachute. And it's just because he felt like wearing it. He was in outer space. Why would you pick up a parachute in outer space unless you know you're in a story and you know your author is gonna have you need a parachute? It was just an obvious plot device, really, and I hated it for all it was. Okay, guys, I'm done. I'm gonna go, read some books now. Sadly, not Eldest, because I have some other stuff to do, but one day. It's been a year since I've actually, read the series, so I'm due for a reread, but that's for a specific other day. I'm not used to how, white the pages of this book is, because my first copy of Eldest I had for years. It was yellow, it was crinkled, the cover was falling up, so it was bound with tape. So for my birthday, I was like, I'm gonna splurge and get a new one. So every time I open it, I'm like, ooh, blinding white. Thank you guys so much for watching. If your future husband tends to show some psychotic tendencies, then please just run before he decides to put your head on a chopping block. That's not good. Bye guys, have a jolly old time.